Damien Barrett, and welcome to the 2016 wash-up for the Bombers. They were always going to struggle after the January 12 bombshell that a dozen of their stars would be out of action. 2 wins for the season, Matthew Lloyd. Do you think they would have won more games than that?
I didn't think they'd win any, Damien. When you lose arguably probably 5 or 6 of your best players out of the 12, I didn't think they'd win any, but they've been competitive. They've got through the year much better than I would have thought.
Yeah, I thought one was probably the over and under line. I mean, even Fitzroy in 96 won a game, and I thought they'd scrounge one, but I think they've done really well in the context of it all. Highlight for the year for me, Lord, was Anthony McDonald tipping Woody. There was a bit of a boom on him in the pre-season, wasn't there? We wanted to see it in the early rounds, and we saw some really nice stuff. And look, I know he's fallen away late in the season, but I like the way John Worsfold has also pushed him forward at times just to develop him even further. And you'd think with another pre-season under his belt, he's clearly a crowd favourite, a Bombers supporters' favourite. I think there's a massive amount of upside still to come.
Spot on, and losing Hibberd maybe doesn't hurt as much now with the way he's come through, and once he gets fitter, he's only going to get better. Mine is when you have a tough year, it's always the kids, and I know we're going to talk about him later, but Orazio Fantasia is the first one I want to talk about. The kids, he's kicked plenty of goals, which we'll discuss later. He's been brilliant this year. Darcy Parish, just a class act. Not many players can come into a bottom side and perform the way he has this year. Aaron Francis, only have seen him a handful of times. He just hasn't been fit enough. He's had lots of injuries, but he's tough. He can play forward or back, a brilliant player. And then 2 lesser lights. A mature age from Coburg, Michael Hartley takes all the key players, can allow Hurley to play on the other tall forwards. And this man, Mitch Brown, I think he suits defence more than forward, but he's had a solid year.
Sure. A lot of lowlights came in the form of the losses they had, but I'm putting up the big lowlight for the year, Lord. I was the Essendon 12 just being able to put it into our faces too often for a week stuck here in the Melbourne winter about where they ended up being throughout the course of this year.
Out of a bad situation, they've turned it into a good one. They've seen every part of the world, I would have thought, these Essendon 12.
Got the riggers out.
They have. They still look pretty fit too. Mine is Anzac Day. I turned up wanting to see a performance against another bottom 4 side, and they were just smashed off the park. It was 14 goals to 2 at half-time. Just they were non-competitive. Had people speaking that they shouldn't have Anzac Day anymore, which I didn't like as an ex-Essendon player. And also, the wooden spoon, Damo. Essendon's been proud to say they haven't won it for 83 years, and they're going to win their first one since 1933, which hurts.
There's an asterisk on it. We know why they won it. Right. Hey, out of 10, we've got to give these clubs in the wash-up a marking. I'm just calling it as I see it. I'm giving them 2.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And I've gone a bit of a different tack. Considering the circumstances, I've given them a 5 for what they've gone through. So it's been a good effort. All right,
Christmas bonus time for the Bombers. I'm giving the little bit of extra, and not a lot, but just a little couple of hundred green sheets there. Lordo, to this man who you've already mentioned, Orazio Fantasia, he's got to finish the season with about 30 goals, 29 as we speak right now, but kicks them from distances. He's got some real passion about the way he goes about it. You can see he's desperate here in this passage of play, and I think a bit like McDonald tipping Woody, I think the fans are really embracing him this year.
Yeah, he's been brilliant. My Christmas bonus is for one that everyone knows is good, but they didn't realise how good he was, and that's Zach Merritt. And the other reason he's my Christmas bonus is because he's been captain in a year I never thought he'd be captain. And the 2 weeks Goddard's been out, he's been Essendon's best player. So it tells me that if Heppel captains maybe next year, we may have the next captain that we've found, or the Essendon has found already this year.
Stood up really well.
He's been brilliant. I think he's top 7 for disposals in the league. He's really become the complete player.
Okay, it's now chopping block time, and I'm not going to chop President Goddard out of the footy club, but I am in terms of the captaincy role that he played in 2016. Look, I think he did well at times, but I just think the way he carries himself is not going to be something the club will have in 2017. He will be on the list, but not as captain. Yeah,
I'd agree with that, and he'd probably be happy with that as well. Courtney Dempsey and James Gould, they've been good servants for the footy club, but you think they would move on. And we look at the top-up 12 that have come to Essendon, and I know you've got to draft them all back, but I would chop all of them except Matty D. So Matty D, it'll be interesting to see if other clubs jump at him first or whether Essendon get him. But I think he's good enough to stay on an AFL list next year.
Okay. We've already mentioned Orazio Fantasia a few times. He's also responsible for one of the lighter moments throughout the course of the year. Against St Kilda in this game, you can see him coming in there to that little scuffle right of screen, and Sean Dempster, who's not the strongest bloke in the world, just doesn't let him in. Let me at him.
Oh, no, I think he needs another few pre-seasons in the gym to be getting involved in scuffles because he's just not big enough, the young fella. Lives with Jobe Watson, so maybe he needs a bit of Jobe size next year.
All right, most of the Essendon 12 come back in with maybe a couple of exceptions. That'll be one way they improve in 2017, but they've got to fix up Joe Danaher's kicking a goal, particularly what happened in round 22 when he was kicking across his body from as far out as 12, 15 metres. So that's my big improvement requirement for 2017.
Right, no-brainer, that one, definitely with that. I think pace in the midfield. They get Travis Collier back on the wing, which will be great, one of the suspended 12, but pick one in the draft. They have to go for pace and class through the midfield. They need another one to assist Zaharakis, Merritt and Parrish and those types.
OK, prediction time for the Bombers in 2017.
I think they'll be knocking on the door of the 8 next year.
Really?
So, yeah, I don't think they'll make it, but they'll be knocking on the door, so it's a big up for me.
OK, I've got them going up. I just don't have them in 8 calculations, but a significant up from where they were for obvious reasons. Thanks, Lordo.
Thanks, Damo.
And that's the wash-up for the Essendon Football Club in 2016.